Well, the New South Wales election is just over a week away and the Premier is behind in the polls. The Liberal coalition government has been in power for 12 years. Asking for 16 years is a very tall order. Privatisation has dominated the campaign so far, and finally, in this interview, we get clarity on his position. Whether Dominic Perrottet likes to admit it or not, he's almost running a one-man campaign, trying to get away from the fact that much of his front bench is retiring. Also in this interview, one of his most honest moments, talking about what politics has cost him personally. Premier, thanks so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Are you tired? You're carrying the whole team. Is that the strategy?
No, I've got a great team with a lot of experience and the economic plan to take our state forward, and we're out there every single day prosecuting the case, and it's an incredibly important election, particularly as we face very difficult economic headwinds coming our way.
You've had your turn though. Why do you deserve another 4 years?
Well, I've been Premier for just over 12 months, and in that time we've made some really important changes. We've been able to open up the country through the pandemic, at the same time deal with the impacts of floods which affected so many communities in regional New South Wales. But ultimately we have the ideas though, whether it's transforming stamp duty so first home buyers don't have to pay that upfront cost, and also extending that choice for them for life. In addition to that, providing a whole year of free preschool to every single child in New South Wales, and then setting up our kids accounts, which means that every child will leave school with up to $49,000. This will help with the cost of education and a housing deposit. These are the fresh ideas, the new ways of thinking that I think will show that we have the experience and the energy and the determination to keep going. As far as I'm concerned, Laura, we're just getting started.
Internal dysfunction, squabbling, scandals, pork barrelling, resignations, Premiers forced to resign. It doesn't look good. Would there just be another 4 years of that?
I'm interested in the outcomes.
Yeah.
That's what drives me.
But what about all that stuff? Because you can't really paper that over. And I think that does weigh on voters' minds. I mean, if you look back at the scandal-plagued 10 years of Labor we had in this state, they were punished for it. Why shouldn't you be punished?
Well, I think the people of New South Wales will judge me as Premier on my performance.
So it's about you, not so much the team.
But I've got a very strong team around me with a lot of experience, many years of ministerial experience through what has been a difficult time for our state and for our country, and the people of New South Wales still stand strong today.
Where do you sit on debt? Because you've proven time and time again, as Premier, as Treasurer before that you don't mind spending taxpayers' money.
Well, we're in a very strong position here in our budget position, the balance sheet of New South Wales. We're the only state in the country with 2 AAA credit ratings. As a percentage of debt to GSP, as you go to the forward estimates in the 4th year, we've got half as much as Victoria, and we're building twice as much infrastructure. That's strong financial management. You
failed to mention debt and deficit there though, and it's the highest debt and deficit we've ever had in this state.
Yeah,
AAA credit ratings aside.
Yeah, well, we've just gone through a pandemic.
Sure.
We put $50 billion into our health system and to help small businesses across New South Wales get through that period of time, and that was the right decision. The budget is not an end to itself. The budget is there to help our people. You
always said you'd put people before the budget, but when does it stop? Because we're talking about super for kids, you've got vouchers for pretty much everything, multi-billion-dollar metros. It does feel like you're trying to buy the election.
Not at all. If you look at, firstly, the budget position, we returned a surplus in 24, and that's our projections, and that's what we are focused on delivering. So we know we've had to invest to get our people through these difficult times, but ultimately, as well as you move forward, you want to invest in the areas that are going to set people up and grow the economy and create jobs, and that's what we've done.
Well, it does seem like Chris Minns is operating the way I see it, right out of the Kevin Rudd playbook, painting himself as this economic conservative, demanding that the reckless spending stop. Are you being reckless? Because that message seems to be working.
But who do you trust to run the economy and the state's finances?
And that was a line from Howard, so
yes, well,
it's working well.
But if you look at it, they don't have the experience in running a government. They don't have, I mean, this is not running a council. This is running Australia's largest economy, close to $800 billion. And if you look at our, my record in my previous role as Treasurer, navigating our state through those challenging times, being in a position today where the New South Wales economy remains strong despite the headwinds that are coming. And I believe I'm the person with the experience to guide us through, not just now but into the future.
I mean, it's a really tough ask. Trying to sell debt and deficit is a good thing. I get where you're going on that, but let's look at what you've promised. Most of it is years away. The Beaches Link, when will that be open or even funded? The Warragamba Dam project, the Parramatta Light Rail Stage 2, Westmead to Airport.
Yeah, so with each of those projects, they're in our pipeline and we're doing the work to construct them.
So what does that mean, Premier? They're in our pipeline.
Well,
that sounds like a promise that's kind of on the never, never.
Well, you can't build everything at once.
Yeah.
You just can't. That's why the Western Harbour Tunnel we are building, the West Connects project, that doesn't happen overnight. We just opened the M4, M8 tunnels. Next year, the Rozelle interchange, then Sydney Gateway. You'll be able to drive from Penrith all the way to the city without passing one set of traffic lights, saving 40 minutes on your travel time. They don't happen overnight, but if you're not planning for the future and doing the business cases, then those projects don't get built.
Yeah.
But you don't. But it's not me saying it. Speak to the ratings agencies with 2 AAA credit ratings.
Well, let's talk about privatisation then, because you've defended it for delivering the infrastructure that we've seen, things that the Liberal coalition
Absolutely.
government has built over the last decade. So on the one hand, you're saying, look at all it's built, it's been brilliant for this state, and I don't disagree with you there, but you're also ruling it out next term. Why? Is it a good or bad
because
thing?
It's a good thing when it's necessary. Okay.
So how is it not necessary
because
going forward with the debt and deficit position you're in? I know the ratings agencies essentially say it's good debt, but don't you need privatisation?
No, you don't. The most important thing, if you look at the budget and where it sits today, and you make the investment decisions that allow us to continue to build, those decisions in relation to Poles and Wires and West Connects were the right decisions for the time. They were the right decisions. What's the right decision for today is to get the budget back into surplus. At the same time, have a manageable debt position going forward and plan those future projects. We've got $116 billion of fully funded infrastructure over the next 4 years. What I'm saying is we need to continue to look out past then and what are the next major projects that we need to construct.
The politics of it tells me that you're scared of the fight on this one.
No, because the assets that we made when we made those decisions were ones that worked at the time. The West Connects project, it was the right decision to sell down that asset to reinvest in the future construction of the road.
You said you wouldn't sell West Connects, and you did.
Yep.
What do you say to that?
Well, I said at the time I didn't have any plans to, and then when looking, and then
you also say you don't have any plans to sell Sydney Water.
Yeah,
so
no, I've
we all know what that means.
But we'd already sold. Let's be fair here. We'd already sold the first half of West Connects. It was always the view that was the approach we were taking with that road. Now, we didn't have a plan at that point in time to sell down the residual interest, but it became very clear that was the right approach to take in those economic times. In relation to those other assets, no one has ever talked about that. That is a Mediscare campaign from Labor. I mean, I don't know anybody in the history of our government that has ever spoken about Sydney Water. Yeah. And now you have the unions and Labor running a campaign on lies. That's not the approach you should have going into
But you can understand why a voting public would be sceptical when you say there are no plans to privatise Sydney Water.
I said that, not only said there's no plans, I've completely ruled that out. Okay. It has never been something that has ever been considered by our government or ever would be.
If you manage to win 2 elections, no privatisation, no, we don't have any plans to, it just will not happen next term or the one after if you manage to win 2 elections.
Correct.
So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like, if you look at the next 4 years, our infrastructure investment is fully funded. It's creating over 100,000 jobs on our public infrastructure.
This Super for Kids policy is really interesting. I'd say it's your signature policy. This is usually Labor's domain, superannuation. You know, it's an article of faith for them, really, and you look at the federal level and you know why. But Chris Minns is saying this is for the rich. Is it?
No. And it's a manifestly conservative policy. It's about strengthening families. It's about building opportunity and aspiration. It's about helping our young people get into the housing market faster or get a better education. We're providing a payment every year for those families who are on family tax benefits, $200 without them having to make a contribution. But I want them to make a contribution too, because if we start thinking about saving for our children's future, how much better off will they be? And every mum and dad across New South Wales aspires for the best for their children. And this is what this will do.
You had the opportunity to means test it. I'm sure the discussion was had. Why didn't you go down that?
Setting them up for better opportunities into the future is something that all governments should do, and we've done that. A similar approach with superannuation. The same arguments that you're raising here in terms of supporting those people who are from a lower socioeconomic area. Well, that's exactly what they were saying about super, and then you bring it in, and then everyone sees the rewards of what it is, and that's exactly what's going to happen here.
Paul Keating, did he have any input on this? You two are close, aren't you?
Yeah, well, we always share ideas together.
Yeah.
And,
robust?
Robust?
Yeah, he's robust publicly. I wonder if he's like that with you privately.
I won't go into private conversations.
Okay. But did he have some input on this?
No, but I'd raised it with him. I'd raised it with him, and I'd raised it with a number of people. We kept it pretty tight because I've been working on it before the pandemic began. But it's something that I'm passionate about, because you go into politics to make a difference, not just for today but for the future. And these are the kind of the legacy policies that I know will change lives.
Okay, well, when you became Premier, I can't believe it was just over a year ago, but I asked you in that media conference how you were going to balance the job and also the job at home, being a dad of 7 kids. It was 6 then. What have you learned about that juggle in the last year or so?
Probably being more disciplined with my time and being more present at home. Now, that's something that is always hard, and like mums and dads who are balancing work and family life, it's pretty difficult to switch off. I think I've got better at it. I think at the start it was pretty hard, but over the time I think I've been able to get to a point where I can just turn my phone off.
Yeah.
I can let my office know that I'm out of action for this period of time, and if something urgent occurs, they can call Helen.
Is it hard being in politics, having a big family, and there being a focus on that, good and bad?
Yes, it is. Now, I'd say it's hard for many families struggling with work and family life. We've always got to put things in place to help us do it better. But when you do miss things, and when people have busy jobs, they miss moments. They miss moments in their kid's life. That's something that hurts, I think, and you don't want to miss the basketball games. You don't want to miss the camps, and sometimes that's just part of life. And Helen, certainly reminds me I've got to make it up. And you want to make it up, and it drives you to make sure that when you are at home and you are with the kids, that you're switched off. I'm not saying I'm perfect at all. No. I think I've come a long way. Self-reflection here. I think I've come a long way, but there's a lot more that I can put in place to be a better dad.
Really interesting there. He's a dad and a Premier, of course, and it has hurt him to miss those sports games. Also, to note that he did run this kids' super policy by Paul Keating, but he's been working on it since before the pandemic. And of course, finally, that clarity on privatisation.